You are watching Cycle, MNB World's economic and business program. My name is Batsir Namshir. If you are interested in Mongolian economy, business environment, and mining sector, please join us. The American Chamber of Commerce Mongolia, in cooperation with Asia Foundation and the Embassy of Canada in Mongolia, are working on a project promoting good business ethics in Mongolia. AmCham Mongolia is an independent membership-driven organization that seeks to build, strengthen and protect business between the United States and Mongolia and to actively promote Mongolia as a destination for American investment. AmCham introduced a collection of data on business ethics compiled in 2018. AmCham collected success stories and best practices from its membership concerning business ethics, codes of conduct and anti-corruption measures.
The Asia Foundation is very happy to be working with the American Chamber of Commerce with generous support from the Government of Canada. The idea is for the business sector to really focus on finding ways for themselves to improve the situation on corruption, not just wait for others to improve for them. AmCham has some members who are leaders and thinkers in good business practices and ethics and anti-corruption. So we want them to share their experiences more and push the requirements for ethical business down their supply chains to make sure that more companies are taking on best practices in the field.
This project has three components in the second phase. First, we have this consultation and receiving feedback in terms of how can we fight corruption within a business-to-business context as well as private sector to public sector. And then secondly, we will be also organizing training sessions with the selected companies like OT and Ayutolga and MSM, Wagner AG or Montpellier Group and so on.
I think we have to keep in mind that this is a young democracy and a young market economy. So Mongolian businesses are growing, but they still have some habits that can lead to corruption and can lead to less efficient business practices. So, for example, we have a lot of evidence that tendering remains an issue and the nexus between business and government can sometimes be negative. We also have some evidence that there are issues of bribery when relating to government rather than paying fees or taxes. And it's not just Mongolian business, it's a global problem, but Mongolia certainly suffers from some of these same issues.
Doing Business with Mongolia seminar was organized by the British Mongolia Chamber of Commerce in London last month. The seminar was chaired by British Member of Parliament John Grogan, who is also the chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Mongolia and the chair of the British Mongolia Chamber of Commerce. British investors, including staff from the London Stock Exchange and the British Department of Trade and Industry, attended the seminar. Staff from the Mongolian Embassy to the United Kingdom were present, as was a business delegation from Mongolia.
My name's John Grogan. I'm chairman of the All-Party Mongolia Group in the British Parliament, and I also chair the Mongolian British Chamber of Commerce. And you can see we've got a lot of networking going on. This is the 31st seminar we've had on doing business with Mongolia here in London. We've been doing them for 10 years. The Mongolian British Chamber of Commerce is 10 years old, and behind us we've got about 20 guests from Mongolia. We've got the London Stock Exchange, we've got the Department of International Trade from the United Kingdom, all making links because Mongolia's growth rate is now 6-7%, very attractive for many British entrepreneurs. Whether we stay in the European Union or come out, British-Mongolian relations will not be affected. British-Mongolian trade is beginning to increase. Even though we're other sides of the world, we're both proud democracies, both former imperial powers, and now we have market economies which are coming closer together.
The Asian Development Bank held a consultation workshop in Ulaanbaatar on April 9th for its country diagnostic study. The workshop brought in politicians and political and economic experts on Mongolia to identify and discuss the most critical constraints Mongolia is facing. The main role of country diagnostic studies is to attempt to diagnose the most critical issues that countries face and develop ideas for solutions. The ADB conducts this study every year for 2 of their member countries, and for this year, Mongolia and China are being examined.
Of course, one main issue is the high dependence of Mongolia on its natural resources in terms of exports. You also depend very much on certain export markets. So the question is there a diversification possible maybe within the mining sector, but also beyond the mining sector? Can you develop a strong agricultural sector even more than you currently have? Can you attract more foreign tourists to come to the country? So this is one issue. Then when it comes to international trade, Mongolia has a very open trade regime, yet you don't have many free trade agreements yet, only one with Japan. So there could be room to have additional free trade agreements to facilitate trade with other regions like the EU or Australia or other countries in this world, which would then also help to diversify your exports and imports.
Other constraints include topics around governance and its need for transparency, and accountability of institutions, inclusive growth, which questions whether all citizens can obtain opportunities, the economic growth Mongolia has generated over the last years, and topics around education, labor and gender equality. The country diagnostic study takes about a year to complete, and for Mongolia it started at the end of 2018. The consultation workshop, where comments and feedback of shareholders are gathered, began in April. The full study is to be completed by the end of the year, upon receiving comments from the government. The 9th consecutive Mongolia Mining 2019 International Mining and Oil Expo is being held. About 150 exhibitors from 20 countries presented their products and services. Some new and frequent exhibitors at the Expo was pleased to be attending this year's Expo. Recent developments regarding the strategic deposits and mining and infrastructure projects of Mongolia put the mining sector in crucial stage of promising growth with vast opportunities for investors and mining companies.
Can you tell us what brings you to Mongolia, and can you introduce your company?
Thank you indeed, and thank you for the opportunity. We've come, of course, with the Canadian contingents here today, and our technology is a Canadian technology, 50 years in the marketplace, and quite recently, in the last 4 or 5 years, we've been introduced to Mongolia. So this is in support or pursuit of a new niche in the market. Specifically, our product provides a means of protecting concrete in a chemical-rich environment, such as in a sewage plant or in a water treatment plant. Also in...
or maybe a mining plant?
In a mining plant, that's why we're here, of course, yes. Where you might have acidic chemicals or highly alkaline chemicals, or you might have high heat, up to 1,000 degrees centigrade, something like that. We can provide a solution which will allow your concrete to endure despite those sort of environmental conditions.
Organizers have stated that the number of exhibitors has grown year by year and filled the Bointoha complex with the biggest open space in the capital. The bigger space gave exhibitors more opportunity to show off the full potential of their products for the attendance of the Expo.
Good afternoon. Can you please introduce your companies and why are you here today in Mongolia?
Yes, Expo is a division of Weir Group, and we both have a very long history in the mining industry. Expo is focused on the ground engaging tools. We have been making the advanced digging operation for more than 40 years. We are like #1 in a lot of mining industry. So if you go to the global mining companies, their operation in the world, you can see Expo's mining digging system is very advanced. We save a lot of timing on downtime, and also we are able to improve the efficiency. So we have been an important strategic partner in the global mining industry right now.
Additionally, more variety of equipment suppliers are taking part in the exhibition.
We're air-sealed products. We met some Mongolians last year in England and we had a great deal of interest. We realised there were opportunities here in the mining sector with our tyre sealant products. So what we have is a liquid that we put inside the tyre. Small quantity goes inside the tyre through the valve stem and it lives inside the tyre. In the event of a puncture or any air loss, as the air tries to escape from the tyre, the liquid comes into the hole and it seals it. It's a permanent mechanical repair, good for the life of the tyre.
Outside the Bointois Sports Palace, about 40 heavy equipment suppliers showcased their products. Trucks and other mining equipment were on display at the Expo, which wasn't possible in previous years. The Mongolian Trade Facilitation Agreement was ratified by Parliament in 2016. The World Trade Organization estimated that the full implementation of the TFA could reduce trade costs by 14%. On April 10th, the National Committee for Trade Facilitation met and discussed the implementation of a one-step border inspection and shift toward electronic processing. World standards show exported products take a maximum of 20 days to reach the consumer. However, products exported from Mongolia take twice as long to reach their final destinations. To put this into perspective, think about the amount of time as an added expense for the product. We are focusing on this aspect very carefully. For example, for health inspections and standards, our inspections need to correlate with international standard practices. The committee discussed a one-stop inspection solution for foreign goods entering Mongolia. If the plan is implemented, experts like the president of the Mongolian National Chamber of Commerce and Industry say it will bring about better economic gain in Mongolia.
Let's have one-stop inspection at the border. We need to find a way to have the experts to go through all the inspections and get all the permits they need at the border. We should have one consolidated web portal for export goods entering Mongolia. All the relevant organizations can get the information from that one site.
Business Council of Mongolia held its monthly meeting under the topic of the digital transformation. During the meeting, the moderator and the panelists stressed the importance of digital transformation and using data.
Business Council of Mongolia has 250 companies as its members, and we meet every month to discuss pressing topics, and this month we chose the theme of digital transformation, and this is about really discussing the opportunities that will come from giving the companies the ability to use new technology, right, and new ways of doing business. And all across the world we are talking about artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and digital transformation. And Mongolian companies have actually a unique opportunity to benefit from it the most. We can actually go to the next stage of business development, and thus our working group on growth and innovation is leading this monthly meeting to talk about this interesting subject.
The moderator of the meeting was Tatsuya Hamada, chairman and CEO of Mobicom.
For example, if there are two companies, one has large scale, one has large revenue, but tiny profit. But using digital technology, if small revenue but large profit, which will be successful, which will be more efficient, maybe later on. And using digital technology, productivity, profitability, efficiency, and less cost, less human resources is really important. So that's why digital transformation, digital technology is contributing such area.
Mongolia, the Third Neighbor Trade Act was submitted to the U.S. House of Representatives. Mr. Oybek Halilov, chairman of AmCham Mongolia, told Cycle about the importance of the Third Neighbor Trade Act. Mongolia Third Neighbor Trade Act was introduced to the US Congress last week. First of all, I want to let people have a general idea about NTA. What's Mongolia Third Neighbor Trade Act?
Okay. First of all, yes, we've been working on the Mongolia Third Neighbor Trade Act for quite a long time now, and with the support of US senators. And the first initial support came from Congressman Ted Yoho, who visited Mongolia last year. And this good initiative is basically trying to help Mongolian cashmere textiles to enter US market. And for both Mongolia and the US, it's a beneficial deal for Mongolia because it will allow Mongolian cashmere textiles to enter the market with no duties and with no tariffs, as well as no quotas. And so this will give advantage compared to other exporters. For the US market, it helps. Basically, the US has a very good sentiment to support Mongolia as being one of the democratic countries who've been very actively supporting worldwide initiatives, whether it's in promoting democracy or participating in the peacekeeping actions. But so overall, this was kind of a special support for Mongolia, and we wanted to make sure also for the private businesses in US it helps as well, because otherwise we have to face the WTO requirements. So, and then there's a special treatment is based on the fact that also allows a free trade and allows the development of private businesses in US as well, such as the big retailers of branded clothes and the branded goods. So what happened right now is already the bill was passed to the House and the Senate. And we do expect that once it is approved by the House and the Senate, it will go for the further approval by the executive government.
The American Chamber of Commerce in Mongolia held its April monthly meeting. The discussion centered on the topic of promoting competitive mining as the engine of the economy. The Minister of Mining and Heavy Industry, Sumevazar, spoke at the event. At the beginning of the discussion, Minister of Mining and Heavy Industry, Sumevazar, provided information to the attendees about the government policy on the mining sector. During the discussion, the minister expressed his position on the Oyutolva project. He emphasized that the OT project is vital to the Mongolian economy, and it must be carried out effectively. He added that there shouldn't be any intention of stopping the project or cancelling the agreement. It was Cycle, MNB World's economic and business program. Thank you for watching. See you next time.